Good morning and welcome to our daily reflection. Our reading is from Matthew chapter 24. Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to its buildings. "Do you see all these things?" he asked. "Truly I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another, and every one will be thrown down." As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. "Tell us," they said, "when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming at the end of the age?" Jesus answered, "Watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end of it is still to come. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of the birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. At that time many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other, and many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase of wickedness, and the love of most will grow cold. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come." When first reading this account from Matthew's gospel, it seems very bleak, with Jesus prophesying wars and famines and earthquakes and so on. But when you think about it, Jesus was simply stating the obvious for anyone who is looking at the world with open eyes. First century Palestine was very similar to today's Palestine, with war and invasion, famine and poverty, and general wickedness all round. The likelihood of the Romans losing their patience and really setting about the Jewish nation was very high, and that came about in AD 70, when the disciples would have still been around to witness it. All through the ages, nations have made war on other nations. Greed has pushed them to want what other people have. Power craziness pushed the petty rulers into throwing their weight around. Big egos looking for people to worship them. My grandson is studying politics and searches the internet for the horror stories of the day, with no counterbalance that human beings may be fighting amongst themselves, but ultimately God is in charge. We're not permitted to know when Jesus will return, but he certainly will do one day. He wants us to be aware that false prophets will declare they have greater knowledge and greater wisdom than the disciples of Christ. Of course, today's disciples of Christ are you and me. But they are simply that, false prophets. They're not the real thing. But Jesus finishes what he is saying on an upbeat note. He says, "One who stands firm to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations. And then the end will come." So this is our task, the work for which all Christians are called: to stand firm and preach the gospel. We're to stand firm in our faith and not to give in to the world around us, who fail to see that the only constant in our lives is the love of God. So we don't back down and abandon our prayers and praises. We don't back down and conform to the world of lying and theft, of putting ourselves first and elbowing others out of the way. And we preach the gospel. Some of us speaking out and declaring the truth of Jesus being the Son of the living God, and some of us quietly reassuring our friends and neighbours that Jesus is the only way to true contentment. So we aren't to see the alarming things happening in the world as a signal to give up and give in. They're a signal to pray for the peacemakers, to pray for the health workers that step in to bring relief to the suffering. Those terrible things are not a signal for us to change sides and support the people of wickedness. They are a signal for us to love the people around us with an even greater love and a deeper desire to serve them as Jesus did. Teach us, good Lord, to serve you as you deserve, to give and not to count the cost, to fight and not to heed the wounds, to toil and not to seek for rest, to labour and not to ask for any reward save that of knowing that we do your will. Amen. Have a good week, have a happy week, and keep safe and keep well. God bless.